Kevin, so good to see you. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today.
My pleasure. It's good to be here.
You're a bit of an anomaly in Hollywood, based on I followed you on Twitter for some time now, X, I guess now it is, and
Yeah.
obviously a little bit of your career growing up watching Hercules and things like this. Um, yeah, it's pretty interesting to see what you're talking about and know that you're in Hollywood because this is not normal relative to what we see for the Hollywood left.
Yeah, I don't fit in too well there. I was never really a Hollywood guy to begin with. I grew up in a small town in Minnesota, grew up with good values, great parents, church every Sunday, sports, all that stuff. My buddies are still guys I've known since grade school. And I got out there and I know it's a business and I know the politics of it. And I know the craziness of it. And I'm not good at playing those games. I just went out there because I love acting. I love being involved in the business. I love the creating of movies and television shows. So when I moved out there, didn't really, I didn't on purpose push myself away from Hollywood, but at the same time, I didn't embrace the BS that goes with it, I guess, and playing those stupid games. Was fortunate enough to make a very good living at, still working, but about 11, 12 years ago, I got booted out. My agent and manager said we can't work with you anymore because of your politics, and I just thought that was so funny because Hollywood really was started with conservatives. That's how it all started out. It wasn't really until you had liberals in there. I mean, you're going to mix everybody through the decades, but it really wasn't until the 60s when things really started changing. But I never backed down from a good debate on a set with somebody if we had different points of view. I was not there to argue. I was there, I'm happy to hear the other point of view, but I just kept fighting away and eventually got too much for them and they booted me out. And I formed Sorbo Studios, and my wife and I have been doing our own movies ever since, a lot of independent movies. And in fact, I'm filming one right now. I got 4 in post-production. I got 2 movies, 2 documentaries that are coming out this spring and summer. So, I'm not going to get the big budget movies anymore, but I'm staying busy in the industry I love, and I'm doing movies that I want to do.
It's always interesting to me, and I don't want to be insulting at all when I say this, but it's always interesting to me when I see how much stock people put into what actors think because they portray some sort of virtuous character
Yeah.
when that's their job. Their job is, and I'm not saying this probably the way that you would agree with, so please correct me if I'm wrong, is to make us believe that they're something other than they actually are. But we just put too much stock into it, I think, at times.
Oh, there's no question. Oh yeah, look, we're kids. We're immature children in this industry. I mean, you get paid to be, if you're lucky enough to make a living at it, you're portraying someone else. It's not even yourself in these roles. I mean, I think all actors bring part of themselves to the roles, but for the most part, you're a different character doing a different life. I mean, I played everything from a pastor to a guy that was, to a doctor, to a superhero, to whatever. So I'm not any of those things in real life, but I um I find it interesting. I agree with you when these people get up on these platforms and sit there and talk about their politics, like everybody's supposed to follow their politics when they talk of the Emmys and Golden Globes and Oscars. People are sick of it. Every of these award shows for the last 10 years have been going straight downhill. People don't care. They're so tired of the woke crap of Hollywood. But I don't think these A-listers care. I don't they live in their own little bubble, their own little world. And they have no idea what it's like. It's like the Washington, D.C. They have no idea what the outside world is really like. So to me, unfortunately, I got stuck in that world because I like it, but at the same time, I don't fit in too well. And that part is sort of frustrating, I guess, because I love to be part of getting really big movies again or big TV shows. But I realize that's not going to happen, and that's fine. I'm still, I do these $3 to $4 million movies, and I get a lot of independent people coming to me to want me to be in their movies. And knock on wood, I'm still making a living at it.
Yeah. Well, I'm always inspired by somebody who takes what they're doing into their own hands. You're talking about
Mm.
creating your own movie studio. Really, the only person, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but the only person that I can think of currently that maintains a more conservative, maybe even Christian set of values verbally, vocally, publicly,
Sure.
and has maintained that like A-list status in Hollywood would be somebody like Chris Pratt. I don't know
Oh,
if you
no
agree with
question.
that, but
No
what's up
question.
with that? How does that work for him?
I don't know. I think it has reached a point where, whoever thought of a Parks and Recreation, he would lose 40 pounds and be buffed up and do these superhero
You
things.
could see when he
Um,
started doing superheroes because he turned from the guy on Parks and Rec to this jack guy that I'm like, that guy actually looks pretty good. So you knew he was going to
yeah,
other movies.
he started changing a little bit because he knew these things were happening. So his career has been hotter than hot the last 8, 9 years, 10 years. And I think because, I mean, he's getting attacked too, but I mean, I think because he's done so well with these big movies, and the audience from both sides of the political aisle like the guy, I think he's able to keep his career. I think a guy like John Voight, you know, he's always up there. I think a guy like Clint
True.
Eastwood, 90 some years old, still making these movies and stuff. But you know, there's a lot more conservatives in Hollywood than people are aware of. I mean, every movie I've been doing the last 6, 7 years, I get an actor, I get a director, I get a lighting guy, a camera guy, whatever, comes up to me quietly and says, "Thanks for being a voice for us." And I go, "Dude, be a voice for yourself." Well, I don't want to get blacklisted like you. And I did. I got blacklisted. But you know, one door closed, another one opened. So I'm like I said, I'm staying busy. I'm just not going to get $20 million to do a $300 million movie. So
I
good for
think
Chris.
that might
You
change
know,
though. I mean, I look at obviously, you have characters like Hercules, which you've played, and then, I
yeah,
think about the movies that I grew up watching, which was, Braveheart and
sure.
Gladiator. You talk a lot about these masculine heroes. And I think that men in general, and maybe even society, are craving an actual manly, heroic movie or series or whatever because we've been inundated with things
Yeah.
like Barbie and all these other movies that paint men as the bad guys and women as the victims and men need to act more like women. I think we're craving it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that you have to go out and kill people and stuff, but I think
Right.
people look like a Denzel Washington doing the movies he's been doing. You look at a Jack Reacher, the TV series right now, which is
Mm.
very successful. You look at Yellowstone, obviously very violent. There's some lot of evil people there too. But I think people are looking at they're tired of the wimps out there. There's so many. There's been such an emasculation of men for decades and decades right now, and it's just I think people have reached a point. Enough of this stuff. Enough of these guys, these girly girls, and I think people are looking for people to be, there's a difference between men and women. It's as simple as that. People get mad at that statement, which cracks me up. When these guys are saying they're women now, when they go in these sports and they're beating the heck out of women, and now the boxing association has made it legal. They passed some sort of a referendum that now a transgender female can now go boxing other women in the boxing ring. I mean, it's unbelievably weird and childish and insane what we're doing right now in this world. And shame on these parents for letting their daughters go against these guys. Pull them out of that sport. Go create your own swim team. It's stupid for you. Well, they're only in school once. Yeah, but you're letting them compete against men. And you guys know deep down, they know it's wrong. And for us to sit there and constantly tell the world that this is normal and okay, there's nothing normal about it. There's nothing. I mean, I know Bruce Jenner. I knew Bruce Jenner for many years before he became Caitlyn Jenner. But he didn't change his sex when he was 7 years old. Had some parents drag him down into a doctor's office and cut off his penis. So to me, it's even he fights against that, or she, I should say, fights against that whole
No,
thing
you
about.
shouldn't you shouldn't say it that way.
I know she. I don't know. I
Well,
don't,
I think
I honestly don't care because it's weird to me. It's weird to me that we have to appease this crowd and appease them. And I look at it and go, okay, what rights do you not have that you and I have? What
right.
rights in the transgender or even the gay world do they not have? It's they want
None.
better representation. Well, you know what? The gay population in America, depends on what you want to read, is 3 to 4% of the population. Why are they in 90% of the movies and TV shows? That's overrepresentation. Have equal representation going with whatever, I guess. I just think it's crazy that we're just forcing this stuff down people's throats. And I think most people like myself don't care what people do in their personal lives. I could care less. I think people are just getting tired of being shoved down the throat every single day that you're a homophobe, you're a transgender phobe, you're whatever. And it's just like enough of this stuff. And you're racist. Yes, we're all racist. I've just had it. And I think more and more people are going to finally stand up and say enough is enough. And you see it starting to happen now. There's been a tipping point. There's no question.
Well, I mean, people will call me a misogynist and they'll call me a sexist. And at this point, none of those things mean anything to me. Number one,
Yeah,
I don't believe anything that somebody would say. If they would call me that, I really don't, there's no credibility there. And number two, that word doesn't mean anything anymore because you've bastardized it
yeah,
and you've used it. It's like Nazi. If
yeah,
everybody's a Nazi, nobody's a Nazi. So
yeah,
let's reserve the word for actual Nazis. Let's reserve racism
yeah,
for actual racism. Let's
yeah.
reserve sexism for actual sexism, which is interesting because you see that a lot with sexism and even racism, and they call it reverse racism or reverse sexism. It's not true. It's just racism. It's just sexism. There's no reverse anything.
Yeah. I know black people that are racist as well. So give me a break.
Of course. I mean, we all can be, right? We
Of
all
course.
hear jokes or we all have
Yeah.
our own biases or our own experiences. Of course, that's a
Yeah.
natural human experience.
Of course it is. And it's just I never thought of the whole racist issue until Obama came along. He brought it to the forefront very quickly and used that play card. I mean, the guy, there's no question the guy is if he's not a Marxist, he's certainly borderlines there. He's certainly a hardcore socialist. When he said before he became president, once I'm president, I'm gonna transform America. What did he say? What was the words he used again? He's
I
going
don't
to do
know.
something about transforming America. And I said to my wife, I said, if you said to me that when we're walking down the aisle, oh, once we're married, I'm going to transform you, I'm going to go, what? I wouldn't get married.
Good
It's just
point.
crazy. It's crazy. I mean, this is the best country in the world, and we're trying to turn it into one of the worst countries in the world, and we're well on our way. I think we're a socialist country right now, and it's just only getting I think there's stages of that, just like there's stages of socialism moving into communism, which is very close to socialism. So, we now attack people for trying to live the American dream. We attack people for working hard and creating a business and creating jobs for other people. They're the bad guy. I mean, you look what's going on in Switzerland right now with these bozos. They're back to now talking about vaccinating the world again, and they want more people to die. We're too crowded. We're not too crowded. I fly over America a lot. There's a lot of acreage I see with nobody living on it. So give me a break with this stuff. But fear is their favorite weapon. They love pushing fear in us, and they're not going to stop using it until people stop being fearful.
You talk about being from Minnesota. I hunt in Minnesota every year, and I love the state, and I have good friends in Minnesota. And it's there's a lot of space. I'm not sure I want people to occupy it though, because I like my space out there. That's for sure.
Well, Minnesota's turned into California with its
It really
politics.
has. It
Absolutely
really
insane.
has.
And the funny thing about it is all my friends are conservative back there. And they're just like going, they're rolling their eyes all the time. The stuff that they're doing in that state is sad. So what state are you in? Where are you at?
I'm in Utah, but I fly out there to the Alexandria area each and every year,
Sure.
and I go hunt out
Yeah.
there with some good friends. So, but it's more rural. It's not the
Yeah.
Minneapolis and in the blue areas. It's more rural, like any state. I was in Maine. The coastal cities, Portland,
Yeah.
Bangor, things like this are liberal. The more rural areas, which is where I was, of course, more conservative.
Of course. Of course. I know Alexandria very well. I got good friends up there. We had a buddy of mine back home in Minneapolis. I lived outside of Minneapolis on Lake Minnetonka, and
Mm,
buddies of mine had a home on Lobster Lake up there. But I went to college at Moorhead State University in Fargo-Moorhead. So Alex was the halfway point from Minneapolis. It was St.
yeah.
Cloud, Alex, Fergus Falls, then Moorhead.
Yeah, one of the things that I like about what you're doing, and I didn't know this. You said that Hollywood used to be more conservative. I believe if
Sure.
that's the case, then liberalism and leftism has hijacked Hollywood. But I think that with what you're doing, you're tapping into a space that I believe most conservatives have left alone, and that's the arts. We've always looked at arts, or at least recently looked at arts as a leftist arena, and
Sure.
I think there's a lot of art, whether it's photography or filmmaking or cooking, culinary, these types of artistic ventures as more of a leftist thought than maybe a more of a conservative thought. But I think there's a battle to be fought there.
Well, there is. And I think you're seeing more and more independent filmmakers putting out movies with more of a positive message. Hollywood used to do that. Hollywood, the good guy won in the movies. The good guy beat the bad guy. The guy in the white hat beat the guy in the black hat. And it's gotten more strange and strange of what they're trying to push on us. I mean, look at Disney. Disney's looking at a $1.5 billion loss. How long can Disney stay in business if they're going to lose 1.5 billion every year in the movie industry? People are sick of the message they put up, but they don't look like they're ready to stop and change anything. But there are more studios now that are looking more for family fare. They're looking more for stuff, because I get stopped all the time in airports and hotel lobbies. People say, please keep making the movies that you're making. But the trouble is, when I'm doing my $3 million movie, I don't have a $100 million advertising budget like they do for these $300 million Avengers and Spider-Man and Thor movies. So the battle we have is getting it out there, because I get people that go to Sorbo Studios and say, "Hey, I just saw this movie. What if?" Well, I shot that 12 years ago, but they just heard about it now, and it's frustrating when you don't have that power to get out there, promote these good movies that have family values in them.
I think there's a double-edged sword here, and that is getting out there to support what you're doing and other people are doing, and also not engaging in companies and behavior that we don't approve of. I think a great example of that is Bud Light. I'm not sure there's another example that was as powerful as the amount of money, and Disney's definitely tap dancing on that line of the amount of money they've lost because conservative people have decided, you know what? We're just not going to support this company anymore. And we're going to vote with our dollars. And we're actually beginning to see that the conservative ideology or idea with voting for our dollars or not voting for certain companies can actually work if we do it.
Well, it works to a degree, but the reality is, if you're gonna not buy Bud Light, then you better not buy their other beers too, because they own a lot of beers.
Sure.
They got the Michelob with the Michelob Dry or whatever. They own a lot of different brands all under the same umbrella. So if you really want to hurt them, but they're going back at strong right now with advertising. I saw Peyton Manning's doing a commercial for it now, getting Bud Light for everybody in the bar. They show it in all the sports games now. So and I know that Kid Rock came back out and he said, you know what? We're hurting the blue collar workers inside these breweries, which is true. And most of those guys work in those breweries, again, almost guaranteed.
Yeah, but look, people aren't going to stop drinking beer. Those jobs don't just disappear. They just migrate. They just move. Yeah. People don't stop drinking beer.
No, they don't. I know, but I'm just saying, I don't think it hurt the company as much as people think it did. But the statement was there, which is good.
Right. What made you decide that you were going to step away? Because there was a real risk of you deciding to be vocal about your beliefs, and obviously it was antithetical to what most of Hollywood believed. It'd be very easy for you to just be quiet, and I think a lot of people are. Like you said earlier, why did you decide to be vocal about it?
Well, I never really stopped being vocal about it, but I think social media just sort of amplified that voice. I mean, I was posting stuff on Facebook. Facebook took me down 3 years ago for posting the truth about COVID. I was posting hey, look at these 10,000 doctors are saying about mask wearing, that it's BS, it does nothing. And of course, you get attacked by people. But of course, now, as the couple of years have gone by, more and more doctors have come out and go, yeah, the mask wearing is kind of useless. And it is. We all know it. We all knew it.
We knew that 10 days into it.
Oh, it was just so stupid. And then, but my wife warned me about it about a dozen years ago. You better be careful, And I remember other actors coming up, man, the word's getting around about you. What do you mean words getting around about me? I didn't think I was saying, I wasn't like attacking anybody. I was just saying the opposite of what Hollywood was saying in a lot of issues. And I'm going, well, let's talk about our public schools, guys. You think they're so great? They suck. I mean, the statistics are there that how bad our public education system is and how it's brainwashing kids. And now look at our universities. I mean, I just did a movie that we had a young girl playing that. She was 21 years old, a senior in college. And during the break, I asked her during filming, I said, so what are you studying in college? She said, gender studies. Well, what the hell is gender? I said, I could have saved your parents $200,000. Here you go. Ready? Male, female, done. It's over. It's simple as that. What kind of job is she going to get, seriously, besides working at Starbucks afterwards? I mean, what is she? She'll go into teaching more gender studies to people. That just, it's what a, and universities allow that. They've created gender studies as an actual degree. Get a real degree if you're going to college, guys. But when you get a guy like Bill Maher, I mean, look at Bill Maher. Look at the stuff he's been saying lately. He came out about a month ago and said, do not send your kids to universities. This is coming from Bill Maher, who's a pretty liberal guy. And he's saying more and more things over the last couple of years saying, he said the left is getting so crazy. This woke stuff is just stupid. All these comedians, all these left-wing comedians. Seinfeld, he said, I'm not going to go play these universities anymore. It's a waste of my time. These kids are just idiots, and they're, you know, and
Seinfeld
they're
said that.
Seinfeld said that.
Wow, I didn't know that.
He hasn't done colleges in about 3 years now. He's totally stopped.
Yeah, I mean, I know Bill Maher, like obviously I don't agree with a whole lot of his politics, but at least the guy is willing to examine it. And I think that's what we need to
Yeah.
be more aware of is can
Yep.
we just look at it objectively and ask ourselves if this is moving. I don't mind if somebody disagrees with me. I don't mind if somebody sees it differently, but when they start to threaten my own way of life or prosperity
Yeah.
for my kids or this country, I take issue with that. And I think somebody like
Yeah.
Bill Maher is at least willing to be intellectually honest
Yep.
and engage in a healthy discussion, although we may see it differently.
Well, it's already happened to me. I mean, in the last 3 years, I used to do quite a few of these autograph shows, these Comic-Con shows, because of Hercules and my series Andromeda. And now
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting these guys that run these Comic-Cons. Okay, we got like 20 emails from people saying that you better not let Sorbo be there, otherwise we're going to cause problems. I'm going, you're going to have 50,000 people there, and 20 emails is going
20
to make you
people.
stop having me come. Number one, these punks won't even show up. I
They're
guarantee
not
it.
even going to attend, right? They don't have tickets.
Number two, they probably work for Soros. They probably are unemployed. They're probably 35 living in their mom's basement. They're probably raised without a father. I mean, I'm sure there's a common denominator with these losers. And they spend this much time on their computer to attack me on Twitter. I laugh at that stuff. I'm going, my God, anybody I don't agree with, I'm not going to waste my time hoping this guy posts pretty soon so I can attack him. I mean, it's amazing to me. It's just, but for me to not be able to face my attackers, my accusers, and have a debate with them, and they're able to cost me jobs and cost me work. It's so ridiculous right now. I would love to meet these people and have a conversation. I would.
You
I would
never
love to
will.
see where their mindset is and see how right I am about guessing who they really are.
Well, I think one of the things I appreciate most about what you're doing is there's a lot of people who complain. And of course, we're problem solving machines. So we look for things that are problems, we look for things that are wrong. But very few people, of all of us who look for things that are wrong, actually do something about it. And you're putting your money where your mouth is by investing in writing books, investing in starting your own companies and producing your own films. I think that's where you can tell somebody's serious. Is this a guy that's sitting in mommy and daddy's basement running his mouth about who knows what? Or is this a guy who's willing to put literally millions of dollars into a venture to try to change and alter the course of culture? And that's what you're doing. And that's what I appreciate.
Yeah, when I'm putting out movies that have hope and love and faith and redemption and laughter and just positive stuff instead of negative stuff that Hollywood does, that keeps throwing us every movie and every television show. And every movie I do, I get about 120 people employed for those 2, 3, 4 months or whatever it may be. I am doing something, but I'm doing something I absolutely love as well. And I mean, one thing I loved about Hercules, and I had nothing to do with the writing on it. I mean, I put in my 2 cents now and then with each script. But overall, the writers, they wrote very moralistic episodes. Hercules didn't fight for the sake of fighting. He always tried to talk people out of it. I got letters, thousands of letters coming in weekly from 176 countries around the country, around the world. We're the most watched show in the world. Saying, you know what, I used to bully people. I don't want to bully people anymore. Or every movie I do, a guy comes up, hey, I started working out because of you. I became a stunt guy because of you. Or I got in the business. I mean, it's amazing to me the power of television and movies to do good or bad. And unfortunately, Hollywood chooses to push a lot of negativity out there. But I'm doing movies that Hollywood used to do, and I'm going to keep on doing them. And I love, like I said, I love what I do. I escaped California 5 years ago. I live in the free state of Florida. It's fantastic here. I get to your state quite a bit because I have a place in Park City, Utah. I ski a lot. So
Yeah, beautiful.
I love getting back. I heard you guys had a good dump. You had 6 feet of snow the other day.
I'm in southern Utah, so we got a little bit of snow down here. But I did about a month ago do some skiing in Sundance outside
Oh,
of
sure.
Provo, which is fairly close to where you're at.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Are you in St. George or where are you at?
That's where I am, St. George.
Okay.
Yeah, so I ski in Bryan Head. If you've ever been there,
Yeah, no, I haven't been there, but I had a home in Henderson, Nevada for a while, so I knew it was straight across over there. I know a couple people in St. George area. In fact, Dr. J used to live there, the basketball player.
he did. That's true. I think
He,
he lived in was it the Ledges? I can't remember, but I've
Yeah,
heard
he moved. He
rumors of him
left
being up for the
about 5 or 6
Ledges.
years. He moved back to Georgia. He's in Georgia.
So, okay, so you're in the free state of Florida. What are your thoughts on Trump versus DeSantis? Like, where, how do, because I know you're a supporter of Trump, but where does
Yeah,
DeSantis fall into that as well?
I like DeSantis. I think I left the worst governor in the country to the best governor. I mean, what's going on in California is just crazy. They've lost millions of people over the last 10 years. Millions have moved out of that state. And they're moving to Utah. They're moving to Vegas. They're moving to Tennessee, Texas, Florida. There's reasons for that. And so I think, I know politics is a game with and stuff. And I think DeSantis's role, I think he could have played it a little smarter and not worried about it. I think because I've been in a number of places at events where they both, I've sat at the same table with both those guys, and to me, I think if he played it a little cooler and been more supportive instead of sort of the backstabbing thing that goes on, I think that he would have probably been a shoo-in to be vice president along with Trump, and then get his 8 years afterwards. Who knows what Trump's going to do, but. They've been attacking this guy since 2015, since he announced. And there's nobody, no president in the history of our country has gone through every single day of attacks like he has. And everything they do to try to find out on him or create stuff like the Russian collusion twice, nothing, zip both times. And they find nothing bad on these kids, on his family. Look at Biden, look at his family, I mean, look at his kids, look at his history. And yet he gets one pass after another. And it's just, the hypocrisy and the lawlessness and the granting of just getting day passes is so blatant and obvious. And people, I think a lot of people just vote when they see a D next to a name or an R next to a name instead of
Of
really doing
course.
their homework. Do your homework, do your due diligence, and really look at what they're doing, guys, because we have a very lazy, very uneducated country and a lot of ignorance in there, and they just don't want to spend the time. They just rather, they know everything about the Kardashians and nothing about anybody in Washington, D.C.
Well, I think that's interesting because I do often hear, oh, I don't like Trump. I'm like, I might not like him in person either.
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about that because him and I are going to be breaking bread at my dinner table together. What I'm worried about is can he steer the direction of the country in the right way?
Yeah.
I'm not worried about being best buddies and chumming up with Trump or Biden. That's not going to happen. I just want to make sure that we're moving in the right direction.
Well,
It's interesting though, because a year ago, you could not have convinced me that Trump would be able to win the next presidential election. And I'm having a hard time seeing how he doesn't at this point, considering the
well,
climate of the country.
number one, we got to get rid of mail-in voting, and that's one thing I got an issue with the Republican Party these last 3 years when Biden's in office is why that's still in place. Get rid of. We're like the only country in the world, I believe, that does mail-in voting. You can cheat so much with that. And it's been proven to cheat so much with that. I don't care what anybody says. Biden did not win that presidency. They can talk about that all they want. Kerry Lake did not lose in Arizona as the governor. I mean, it's the number of ways that they've shown people. They got people on tape. They got people admitting to the cheating. I mean, it's just, we need to have, you vote on the day of the election and that's it. And it's not racist to show an ID. That was one of the biggest, stupidest things I've ever heard in my life.
It's
I
racist
travel a
to say
lot.
that somebody who's black can't get an ID. That's
That's what they're
ridiculous.
saying.
Of course they can.
Of course they can. But this is the Democrat Party telling you as an African American person, you're too stupid and incapable of getting your own ID. They should be offended by that. They should be, are you kidding me? But look, let's go to the border right now. When Trump was president, 4 years, what 1.4 million came across the border in 4 years? We're up to 10 million people in 3 years. Are we not going to wake up to the fact that most of these people are coming, not the most, but let's say even 10%, even 10% that come in the border are bad, evil people. I tell people right now, we're looking at a massive scale of a 9/11 in every major city because of the people we're letting into this country. We have no idea. They've already admitted that a lot of terrorists, a lot of people have come across the border. How can you stop it? If you got 10 million people, how can you stop that? They can't catch everybody. But it's unbelievable that our government is allowing that to happen and nobody's making a stink about it. In fact, the Democrat Party, the Democrats, people that vote for Democrats, don't seem to even be aware how bad it is.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a blissful ignorance going on. And then it comes back to the likability factor. I'm not going to say who they are, but I have people in my life who, don't like Trump, So they won't vote for him, even though if you ask them about certain policy, they're very conservative in their approach, but they will never
Hey,
call themselves a conservative.
okay, I'll ask. I've asked many people that get in my face about wanting to vote for Trump, and I go, "What policies of his did you hate?" Well, he was an asshole. I go, "Being an
Right.
asshole is not a policy. What policies did you not like?" They can't think of one, not one. And I'll bring up stuff he did. I'll bring up that he made black unemployment the lowest ever, Hispanic unemployment the lowest ever. He closed our border down. He made us energy independent. People, I think they forgot that gas was $1.90 a gallon when he left. It was up to $7 in less than a year because Biden stopped all production of oil in America, which is crazy. We have
Wait,
so much natural resources here.
haven't we reduced gas prices by 50% since Biden took office? I mean, that's the kind of numbers they play where it had
Yeah.
this meteoric rise and then it reduced and I was like, oh, we've lost all this. Wait,
Oh, it's
you
like
forgot to
3.50 or
mention that it
$4 a
went
gallon.
up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's okay now. It's just it's weird that we have to rely on getting oil from countries that hate us. We pay countries money. They can hate us for free. Stop giving our money away to these people. The amount of money we spend on climate hustle, climate change, which is called weather and seasons, by the way. I can bring you plenty of examples of that's all just a bunch of hype as well. And the amount of money we throw at other countries, we could have built the wall 80 times over. And then look what we did in the pullout and leaving $80 billion of equipment and getting a number of our warriors killed over there again. I mean, it's weird. I think the biggest killer in America more than anything is probably apathy. Oh, well, what can we do? People just give up.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up some notes here because I was thinking about it with regards to what you're saying. We've got, the World Economic Forum meeting right now, and I've seen things where they're trying to appease the population by bringing in more conservative individuals to share what they're going to share, and they give them a little clap, and then they don't change anything. Like this
Yeah,
stuff is actually very, very dangerous.
yeah, because they know how to live. They know how all of us should live our lives. They're the special privileged ones. It's just like our tax system here. I've always loved Steve Forbes' flat tax. I said, why can't we do the flat tax? Because you look at this, go, okay, so we basically have to work 7 months a year just for the government. But they're so kind, the other 5 months a year, you can keep that money that you made. But the other 7 months, we're going to take 100% of everything you work so hard to make money. And we let this go on and on and on, and people don't complain about it. People complain about it, they do nothing about it though. And I love the fact they had the Argentinian guy go speak. I saw some
Right.
of his speech,
I
and
can't remember his name. I was just pulling it up. I can't remember his name right offhand, but yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
yeah, and but you're right. A little polite applause, and they'll move on. But it's I don't know. It's interesting that they're playing this game to say, see, we're open to everybody's opinion. No, you're really not. You got that Klaus guy, if you want to talk about Nazis. So it's like
I
this
know.
is just it's almost so sad that it's comical.
Yeah, it would be comical if it wasn't as dire as, or the
Yeah,
consequences of the comedy weren't as tragic as they have been throughout history, and they will be now if we don't pay attention.
very true.
It's interesting you're talking about the flat tax. I was talking with one of my sons just a couple of days ago. He's asking how much money I make, and I talk with him about those things because I think it's important he understands how it works.
Sure.
And I told him, he's like, well, wait, so you make that much money? I'm like, no, that's how much my business made. And he's like, well, how much did you make? And I told him, and he's like, well, where's the rest of it go? And I said, well, I have expenses and employees and things like this, but a large part of it goes to the government. He's like, wait, what? And we had to have
Yeah.
this whole conversation about why they get as much as they get and why we don't get as much as we ought to. And it was a very interesting discussion to see his wheels turning and the light bulbs turn on for him about what is happening.
Yeah, I mean, and it's good, and it's good you're there. Look, we talk about the emasculation of men. We've been doing it forever. We've been doing it through sitcoms forever, in television, movies. Every movie and television sitcom, the dad is fat and dumpy, the mom's a babe, the teenage kids make fun of dad. He's a pincushion for the humor, and so we've been taught that the father isn't an important figure in the family. So I wrote a book called The Test of Linehood with Brave Books. So please go to bravebooks.com. I think a lot of people might remember there was quite a bit of news on last year with Kirk Cameron when he was reading in public libraries, and in public libraries they were
Yeah.
banning him from reading just
He was
because
on the
of it
podcast
being
actually to talk about some of this as well.
oh, just because he's a Christian, and
Right.
so, but they were okay with drag queens reading to the 7-year-olds. I mean, it's just so weird. So I came out and started really going after the ridiculousness of this whole. I got a T-shirt that says "Embrace masculinity." Okay, my 22-year-old son wears his to the gym all the time. Men need to be men. We need strong men. Peter Weir's a director from Australia. He's done big movies through the decades. He did a documentary 15 years ago saying, "Are there any real men left in America?" And I took, a little umbrage to that, but I mean, I understand what he was saying because we've done it so much now in our movies. If you're a conservative in a movie, if you're a person of faith in a movie, you're the evil one, you're the idiot, you're the stupid one, you're the guy that is just the biggest guy that just everybody wants to hate. And that's what we're just brainwashing kids to believe this way. So this book, The Test of Linehood, at Brave Books, go to bravebooks.com, great place to go, is really a story about a little lion cub named Lucas who ends up saving his little sister's life. He's in the woods with her. She gets cut by a plant that's going to kill her. He learned through his father about the dangers and how to if anything bad happens, what to do in the forest. So he ends up saving his little sister's life. And I get attacked by the alphabet crowd. You're anti-transphobic, you're transphobic, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going, I'm not anti anything. I'm pro-child. I want kids, and especially boys, to grow up to be strong men and strong fathers in their families and communities, because that's what we're missing. People, I've seen so many videos now of these liberal women saying, I don't want to date a conservative, but they're only the real men left. All the liberal guys I meet are a bunch of wusses. That's their words, and it's all over the internet. My son
It's
keeps
true.
showing me one all the time.
It's
So,
true.
and you mentioned taxes. Shows there. I've seen a couple of now from women saying, "I just got out of college and I can't believe how much money they take out of my job." I'm just like going, "Welcome to the real world,
Welcome.
sweetheart."
Welcome.
But for me, I'm glad I wrote the book. Brave Books does a great job. Please go to bravebooks.com. I got to throw it out there. You can order my book for free. Just sign up for a whole year. Every month, you're going to get a great book that's going to be great for kids under 10, 11 years of age and below. And it's just a great thing for the family to get involved. And your kids will get excited by these stories because they're positive stories. They're not negative ones.
Yeah, I've got two under that age, so I'll get signed up for that. And as you were talking about that, I was thinking about even with Disney, as we were talking about earlier. You think about the story of Lion King. It's a father who's virtuous and
Yeah.
righteous, and he dies, and he instills so deeply
Yeah.
ingrained into his son's DNA that even in his death, he's speaking to his son about responsibility and stepping up and serving. And
It,
it's so
you
hard
know
to
what?
see how far it's fallen.
It's the story of Moses, what the Lion King is really. So to me, it's Hollywood used to get it, and now they don't. I mean, they did a Noah movie, and came out, I don't know how many years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And the story of Noah, as my wife said, that was more like the Transformers meets Waterworld. They made Noah a schizophrenic, a drunk, hell bent on killing his family after the journey was over with the animals. Let the animals just rule the world, and I have no more people be here. I mean, it was so weird. It was a beautiful film, but it was so weird at the same time. And they even hired an atheist director. And I go, why? And the Jewish community of Hollywood was because everybody that I worked with was Jewish in Hollywood that runs the business. Why would you hire an atheist director? Wouldn't you hire at least a Jew that has the faith to some degree to do the
You would
story of
think.
Noah? You're going to throw $60 million at this guy to make a movie. I don't know, but this is the world we're living in now, and it just seems to want to get more insane.
Well, I think there's a cultural battle, and I think
Yeah,
you're leading the charge and you're helping out, and I appreciate what you're doing. I want to be respectful of your time because you've got filming this afternoon and evening, and so I want to
I
let you get
do.
to that. Where would you direct people? Obviously, Brave Books. Anywhere else, and then I'll let you sign off for the day.
Great place to go, sorbostudios.com. So you go to sorbostudios.com, SORBO studios.com, all kinds of information. I got a number of movies you can get there, good family movies that have already been done in theaters. I had two movies out last year in theaters. One was Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist, based on the 80 million best-selling Left Behind books. The other one is a true story called Miracle in East Texas. True story about the largest oil find in the history of the world back in 1930 in Kilgore, Texas. Great family movie, funny, motivational and empowering, and also got a nice faith element to it as well. So check it out.
Awesome.
Bravebooks.com.
And also, I would suggest following you on X because it's always entertaining, it's always
Thank you.
informational, and I like it as well. So, Kevin, appreciate you. Keep fighting the good fight. We'll support you where we can. Thanks for your time.
All right. K Sorbs on Twitter. K Sorbs. All right. Take
Got
care.
it.
Thanks.